This week's podcast is brought to you by Greenwood Nursery. Christmas is just around the corner, and your perfect Christmas tree is waiting at Greenwood Nursery. Trees, poinsettias, wreaths, centerpieces, home decor, and spruce tip pots. They have everything to make Christmas come alive at your home, as well as many gift items. Shop today for best selection in Tracy and Marshall. Greenwood Nursery gift cards are always the perfect fit, too.
Welcome to another edition of the Headlight Hot Seat. I'm Per, your host, and today we are joined by a man that's pretty much synonymous with wrestling in Tracy and probably the southern half of Minnesota, Mr. Karl Campbell. Thanks for joining us today, Karl.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's introduce you to our listeners. Tell me about Karl and go back to your growing up and your education, family, and whatnot.
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of this area, this community, with the exception of a short stint in college in Morris and about 3 months at Fort Benning, Georgia for my basic training for the National Guard. I'm married to Diane, who works for the city of Tracy. I think it was 35 years this past summer. We've got 3 grown children. Zach and his wife live out in Brookings, and they just had their second child recently. They have a girl and a boy.
Grandpa Campbell.
Yep, and he works for Power Lift Doors out of Lake Benton as a, engineer, designer. I don't know what his official title is, but they're doing well out in Brookings. My oldest daughter, Alyssa, lives in the St. Michael, Albertville area and is a guidance counselor, or a counselor, I don't know, not a guidance counselor, a counselor in an elementary school up in that area. And her and her husband, Marco, have a 1-year-old boy as well. And then my youngest daughter, Taylor, just got married a year ago. Her and her husband live down in Sioux Falls, and she's a counselor for a private practice in Sioux Falls. And I was thinking about this when you reached out about this podcast. They're actually going on their 1-year anniversary. So last year at this time, I was in dad mode for getting a daughter married off, and I know that's probably on the horizon for you at some point soon. So good luck with that.
Oh, now what do you mean by that? How'd it go?
Went fantastic. She won.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about inside of you, your heart, your emotions, and what was that like? Just giving your girl away.
You know, when you know they have found someone that is going to treat them right and take care of them. Yeah, it's emotional as a father, but it's also just one of those stepping stones, just like a graduation, high school graduation or a college graduation, that you know is something special for them. And it was a happy day, you know, all 3 of them when we did that. And I had the privilege of walking both my daughters up for their weddings, and yeah, cool moments.
You may not want to answer this, but did you cry?
No, I managed to hold that back, but I try to portray the big tough guy thing. So those kind of moments are the ones that are going to test you on that.
Absolutely. Speaking of wrestling, you weren't. I just brought it up, but 31 years in coaching, 25 as head coach, and you're what, 57?
I'm 56.
56. Oh, my apologies. I aged you a year. But when you put that in perspective, that's well over half your life.
Yeah, and that didn't include, those numbers don't include the time I spent between high school stints, coaching, working with the youth. So there was about 7 years in there that I was working in some degree with our youth program. The first year was very light, mainly just with Zach when he was a 5-year-old and one of his buddies. And as that time progressed, like we do often with a lot of our youth coaches, I ended up being more and more involved, and then that worked me back into coaching back at the high school level again. So yeah, I think this is my 25th year as the head coach that we started here last week.
So with that many years under your belt, give me some names, drop some names on just people who have helped you along the way, influenced you, the Chris Cameras of the world.
Well, Cam is certainly on that list. Cam was a junior high coach for me when I was in school, and then when I got hired by Harold Remy when I was a college student. I actually came back from my basic training and started coaching either the next week or the very next Monday. And Harold, and I know you know Harold very well as well, gave me that shot as a college student to get involved as a coach. And I'm and he was also the person that gave me a shot to be a head coach 4 years after that. So I'm very appreciative of Harold Remy. Cam actually was an assistant coach of mine when I became a head coach, and he was someone that I leaned on a heck of a lot. I've had the opportunity to have a lot of good coaches work with me, and anyone that does this kind of thing from a leadership standpoint knows that if you surround yourself with good people, you're going to have opportunities for success. So Kent Corman was one in the early years. Obviously, the guys I got working with me now, like Billy Dean, Rick Johnson, John Carlson, who actually just stepped down here a couple weeks ago. He's not going to be helping us on a regular basis this year, but John was involved for a long time. Tommy Byrne was influential in our youth program for years, and an old teammate of mine. I could go on and on and on, but it goes even beyond the coaching. It goes back to the wrestling club board that has helped us develop great fundraisers, a great golf fundraiser in the summer, and also was very instrumental in helping us get that building that I keep calling it a new building, our wrestling weight room facility, but it's really not a new building anymore. We wrestled in it, practiced in it for the first time in 2012, and that's already 14 years ago. So when you think about how the kids that are using it now, it's just normal to them, but they don't.
You're like me, though. You're a graduate there. It's still new to me, too, because it wasn't there when we were in high school. You guys had that shed.
Yeah, we called it the Old Hut, and Old Hut is still on campus, but Jim Christian uses that for part of the grounds, storage, shop, whatever it is. But yeah, I wrestled in the Old Hut, and until they closed that down, I coached in the Old Hut. I'm glad we had our own space back in the day. I don't miss the Old Hut.
Is it me? Was it me, or is it just? And not that I would wrestled in high school, but I remember being in there from time to time. Was it like a sauna in there? Was it that hot? Do I remember?
Yeah, we cranked it up. We cranked it up very hot. It had its own furnace, and either a coach or a manager would go out and start it early enough in the day where you could try to warm it up, and then we'd shut that furnace off overnight. So on days like today, when it's 20 degrees or worse, colder, the mats would be rock hard when you go in there. But by the time practice was over, we had to have a ventilation fan just to get the humidity out, and it's still, it didn't smell very good in there. It was hot. It was tight quarters. We had a lot of injuries because of the spacing. Guys getting thrown into other guys and busting up knees and ankles and what have you. And I tell our wrestlers all the time how spoiled they are.
Well, and that goes to your appreciation of what you have now, because you had this hut, as you call it, as it was known. Now you have, compared to that, this is a palace.
And it's actually one of the nicest wrestling facilities in this part of Minnesota. Now a lot of the neighboring schools are starting to catch up and getting their own rooms and things, but I still haven't ran into one or been in one that's better than what we got. There's some that are comparable, and there's always things you'd maybe do a little different or change if you had to design it over again. But again, I'm very thankful to the support we got from everyone that helped us make that happen. School board, administration, and the people that opened up their checkbooks to help us make that happen.
Let's pivot a little bit. course, you coach two sports. You coach softball in the spring. We'll get back to wrestling in a bit, but I want to talk about the new look softball complex out there on the highway. I know it's called, I believe it's still called the City Softball Complex, which is a horrible name. But that place is crazy good. I mean, that is at the North Field. That's going to be the varsity field. You got the new fence, the new backstop. Tell me a little bit about that and just you talk about community support for that wrestling palace you have over there. This was huge. This wouldn't have happened without the community, would it?
No, it wouldn't happen without a lot of financial support. Just to take you back a little bit, it's one of those things that, as you know, with your daughter coming up in our program, we really have never had a true fast pitch, girls fast pitch softball field. Mm-hmm. We've been playing on men's slow pitch fields since we got girls softball in Tracy 20-some years ago. And our backstops weren't regulation distance from the home plate.
That's bugged you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's just a different game when you're coaching or playing with those backstops right on top of the plate versus when you get on a regulation field. So, in a nutshell, the vision was to try to give our girls a field to compete on that gives you some of the same feeling that you get when you go play baseball on some of these really nice fields.
But when you go to a section tournament and the fields are regulation, like a Laverne, for example, a real field with the distance between home plate and the backstop, actually and then they got to get used to that kind of, don't they? Because they're used to playing at home.
Yes. So when you think of nicer fields for girls fast pitch, you think of maybe Cottonwood, Lakeview. Yeah. Minneota's got a pretty nice field for girls fast pitch. Pipestone, just to name a few. So that was kind of the vision. That was kind of the vision, but it all takes money, it takes labor, it takes time, it takes equipment. We kind of started it with fundraising with our girls, and our girls have done a really good job over the past handful of years going out and soliciting sponsors and raising money, and we put a lot of money in with the girls that way.
And that's not easy to do in this day and age. I remember Rosa came and hit us up, and I'm like, of course I can't say no to Rosa, right? But that's hard, especially for teenagers to do.
Yeah, but it builds life skills too, and I think that's part of it. And I tried to model it a little bit after what we do with the boys for wrestling and our fundraisers there. But it is tougher in the spring. Mm-hmm. You know, there's so many things that our businesses get hit up for, our individuals get hit up for, grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles. Mm-hmm. You're constantly being asked to support different things because our kids out in this neck of the woods don't specialize for the most part. They play multiple sports and in our other extracurricular activities. So, that was part of it. Mm-hmm. Boxcar Wind, Tracy Eagles, Currytown and Country, our Panther Booster Club, along with our school district, threw some money at it. City Tracy put the tile in around the outside of the field, and then has helped with the seating. So it's been a group effort. The Foltzes hauled all the AgriLime in for us. Drew Larson with some equipment. So yeah, there's been a lot of help from the public, and I know this is a question on your mind. Is it ready to go?
Oh God, you read my mind.
Yeah,
it's not now, but are we looking at?
Not after last night's snow, but we actually also installed bullpens on both sides.
Yep.
And James and Brian Foltz were there early afternoon yesterday helping our construction class get that last load of AgriLime unloaded, and I was able to get that placed before the snow came in last night. So we've got the bullpens ready to go. The fields are ready to go.
So answer your own question.
It's ready to go. We could play on it.
Okay.
We can play on it. We're the only thing we're missing is a little bit of the yellow tile cap on the fence. Okay. And I should have that any day now, and then it'll take us about literally a half an hour to finish that install. So everything looks great. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And
Very, very long overdue.
yes,
And you got the porch, the patio there, which is super cool, and right over the concession stand. It's shaping up to be a pretty nice little area out there. Let's pivot back to the mat. I just want to quickly talk about some of the milestones we've hit recently with Aiden breaking Zach's win record a couple years ago. You had your first state champion, Trevor Eisfeld, in 2019, 2020, I think it was. That was right before COVID hit.
yes,
And
yep.
then Devin Carter soon after that. I'm curious, what's it like coaching a state champ? And you always want to bring your team there, but most years you're bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids or whatever. But you get one state champ, your first two, the program's first two in the history. What's that like as a coach?
The first one was the big one.
Mm-hmm.
The one, Trevor was a 2-time state finalist, and Trevor's been part of a lot of our team success as well. And what a lot of people don't know is Trevor actually didn't even wrestle his 8th grade year.
Mm-hmm.
He took a year off. He had an injury as a 7th grader, and I still remember watching him shoot baskets during noon duty in the gym. And his shoulder was supposed to be bad, and he wasn't wrestling because of the shoulder, but he was there mailing basketballs from half court. So I had a really hard time with it that year because I knew what talent and potential he had. But to get back to your question, when he got his first one, it felt like we got the monkey off our back.
Yeah.
We'd been trying so hard. We'd been close with a lot of people. We had finalists that came close, guys that maybe medaled that came close and had beaten guys that finished ahead of them. And when Trevor finally got that done, that was one of the big moments I felt for our program and our coaching staff, and it was really cool. And Trevor handled it really, really with a lot of class.
I remember he was sick.
He was sicker than heck. Maybe he even had COVID. I
That's
remember
I
I was sick and myself, but I wasn't the one having to wrestle. And I remember the conversation as we left the hotel that morning, and he looked terrible. And I looked at him and I said, "You don't feel very good." And he still had to wrestle a semifinal match.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Just find a way today. Just find a way." And that's obviously he barely survived a match in the semis. I believe that was with Deneen out of Benson, who's now wrestling for SDSU. Deneen was only a freshman at the time, and Trevor was a senior, and he just barely survived that match because he's just running out of gas.
Well, he barely survived my interview with him afterwards.
Yeah,
In the bowels of the arena there.
yeah, and of course that particular year we also had Jace Paplow going for a state title, and they were training partners and really good friends. And Jace lost a heartbreak 1-0 match right before Trevor took the mat, if I recall right. And I think you and I talked about it. It was the highs and the lows, all within a half an hour that night. But that was pretty cool, But moving forward, you mentioned Devin, and Devin had a really good career as well. He was a 3-time state finalist, lost a really close one, his first one, and then he won an overtime one his junior year, and then lost his senior year. But by that point in time, we had over the course of from 2018 through recent time, it just has become normal for us as coaches to be in the chairs for semifinals, for medal matches on Saturday, and for finals matches. And it's not as unique as you might think. It's just, and that's what you honestly want for your kids too. You want it to feel normal. And I remember when our 19 team was up there wrestling the duels, and one of my assistant coaches came to me with this a little later in the day, maybe after it was all over. We were wrestling in maybe the semifinals or the opening round of the duels, and one of them looked at the other one and said, "This doesn't even feel like the state tournament. It just feels like another duel." mission accomplished.
Yep. That's cool. So let's talk about this year's team a little bit. You only lost 3 seniors from last year, correct?
Yes.
So you got a lot of guys coming back, including Mr. Shu, David, who stayed entrant the last 2 years individually, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, actually, he's actually on, he's made it 3 times. He didn't place 3 years ago, and he was a state medalist the last 2 years.
Is he going to wrestle at 133 this year, or is he bulked up, or don't you know that yet? Maybe.
He's not going to start at 33. I think we're going to have that option. We haven't done our weight certifications yet, but I think we're going to look to have that option. I think we'll have him plugged in at 139. Is kind of where I think he's going to fit in right now. And he played football, I want to say, at 160, 165.
Oh, really?
So he's trained down already. It's going to kind of depend on how we can fit the pieces in around him and best protect him, as so other teams aren't dodging him in dual meet situations. But I think we're going to be okay that way with some of the other guys that we'll plug in around him.
Let's talk about some of those pieces. I know you can't list all the kids, no matter the grade, but who are some guys that we should look for that you feel confident in making a little bit of a run this year?
Well, Logan Peterson's one, another senior. He missed weight at the section tournament last year, which was really unfortunate because I really believe he had the potential to be a state medalist last year. It was a really tough cut for him, and he went down primarily to help the team and give us the best team on the mat that we possibly could, but it also was his best shot at making it as an individual, and I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but he didn't make weight last year for the section tournament, so he's going to be off a lot of people's radars because he didn't make the state. He didn't place in the section tournament, but he had a fantastic year last year. Taylor Squires is right around him weight-wise as well, and Taylor has got the potential to be something pretty special as well this year. So those guys will be probably below David. Not probably, they will be. And then another one that's right around David's weight, normally wrestling below him, is Weston Martin. And Weston, I think, has placed third in the section the last 2 years. And he's got that experience under his belt. I'm hoping that maybe he can go next level here soon and really help the team out. You got Nolan Verlinde, Lawton Verlinde. Lawton was a senior. He'll be up in them upper weights. I'm hoping Adam Hippie can help us in those upper weights. I'm hoping Jack Wilhite as well, maybe at heavyweight. And I know I'm forgetting somebody,
But you have a lot of horses coming back, don't you?
We have a lot of experience and that have the potential to be horses. It's just a matter of them figuring that out. Tyler Arnold's another one that was Tyler Arnold, Oakley Bornitz. Got some time with us last year. He had a good year, and then we had a couple of kids make the ninth grade state tournament, the ninth grade league state tournament last year in Jackson Farr, Noah Johnson, and they might be guys that we have to plug in at some point as well. And then one that just came back to mind is we've got Nevin Martin on board with a really good attitude right now, and he looks fantastic in the room, and he'll be in that 170 range, somewhere in there, up or down a weight, and he has looked absolutely fantastic.
He's bulked up a little bit, hasn't he?
Oh, he's huge.
I mean, I thought when I went out to do the return letter winner photos, I saw him and I thought it was a transfer student, a new kid. I didn't recognize the guy.
Yeah, he's never really had his heart in it like we wanted. He had the tools, and I'd kind of written Evan off up until a few weeks ago, and he came to me and he's like, "I want to do it." I said, "Well, I only want you here if you're all in." And he's like, "I want to do it," and so far it's looked fantastic.
What are name some teams that you're going to be looking at as the toughest competition? Of course, Jackson will be right up there as they usually are.
Yeah, Jackson will be the favorite right out of the gate. They seem to pick up some kids from all over the place, and always have a surprise, and they run a good program. They're well coached. There's well coached a team as anyone around, and they compete. I would guess that they'll probably be the favorites coming out of the gate until somebody else proves that different. Fulda Slayton made the section finals last year, and this is Fulda's MCC. Fulda MCC. They're going to have a very good team as well. They lost a couple studs on their top end of their lineup. But they are going to be tough, and quite honestly, they should be a senior loaded team. And I gotta believe that Nick and his staff are thinking this is the year they got to make the run. Pipestone will be tough. They've had trouble filling a full lineup in the past, but the guys they've got some hammers in that lineup. Pipestone does. Adrian always seems to find a way to be competitive. Another program that's well coached, and they do their style, and whether you like it or not, and they always seem to be there when it matters. So
It seems like these teams that we talk about every year, you name the same teams as favorites. Jackson, Fulda County, Fulda Mercantile Central, Pipestone, Adrian, and you guys, of course, are right up there. Is that fun? Does that make it more fun when you got these kind of rivalries going with these teams that are always seem to be?
yeah, it's shifted a little bit though, Per, from Minneota and Canby are up in Section 5 now, and we still duel Minneota and Canby, and there's still great rivalries. And Canby was in the state tournament last year, and Minneota is going to be as tough as anyone around, and they're both on our schedule again. But yeah, we're usually talking about the same programs year in and year out. Marshall's going to have a really good team. They're a class up from us, but we'll go see them, and they were in the state tournament last year. I don't think anyone can accuse us of scheduling a powder puff schedule.
No, I was going to say, my gosh. And then there's the tournaments. There's, up north. Is it Bemidji?
We're no longer in Bemidji.
You're
We
not
we didn't go to Bemidji last year. That whole dynamic shifted last year, where they brought in some of the powerhouses in Minnesota, Staples, Simley, Bemidji. There was only Holdingford. I think there was only 5 teams at it last year. And we didn't really know exactly how that was going to be before we made the decision not to go. But the big thing for us last year was we had to choose whether we were going to Sheldon, Iowa for those duels in Iowa, or if we were going to spend the money and go to Bemidji and compete against those teams. And in hindsight, it was the right decision for our team last year, because Staples was a Class A champion. Holdingford was in the same section as Staples, but probably was the second or third best team in the state in Class A. Simley is a perennial powerhouse. So I don't think it would have done our team a whole lot of good to be there. But the Redwood Riot is an individual tournament that's a really good individual tournament. So in our conference tournament, when you look at we've got United, and we got Minneota, and we got Canby, and we got KMS, there's some really good kids in that conference tournament as well.
You got Benson this year too? You going to Benson?
Yeah, we're going to Benson, and that's actually 2 days after Christmas. So I don't care for that date, not so much as a coach, but for these kids that are managing their weights and having to make weight and have to do that 2 days after Christmas. I actually went back to my seniors and said, do you still want to do this? And the answer was yes. So we're going back.
Well, we've talked a lot about the boys. Let's pivot a little bit to girls wrestling coming to Tracy. It doesn't surprise me that when I heard that there's going to be girls wrestling. What surprised me was the number of girls who seemed pretty enthusiastic about it. Let's delve into that a little bit, Karl. And it's crazy how what I've heard is, these girls are super into it, aren't they?
Yeah, to that question, yes, they are. 2 weeks ago, I wasn't sure what this was going to look like. And to give you a little history on it, about 2 years ago, Evelyn Rentschler's father talked to me after a softball game down at Plum Creek Park, and just brought up the fact that he had a daughter that was interested in getting involved. And I was like, well, that's great, but we don't have any other girls. So the only way this is going to work is if she can bring another training partner in the mix with her, so she's got another girl to train with, because bringing a teenage girl into a high school wrestling room full of boys that aren't used to this, I was concerned about what that would entail, I guess. A year went by, and we ran into Billy Dean and I, down at the Westbrook, the WWG Spring Sports Banquet. They have an end of the year in May, and they celebrate all their teams at one banquet in May. And Billy and I went down, Billy to promote cross country as he was going into his first year as a head coach, and I went down to talk about our wrestlers that were involved. Following that banquet, Evelyn came over and introduced herself to me and made it clear that she really wanted to try it, wanted to wrestle. And her parents jumped into the conversation. We had a nice visit. Summer training rolled around, and I got contacted by Evelyn. Hey, can I come to the practices? I said, well, just like I told you before, I said, if you can bring another gal along to train with you, yeah, you're more than welcome. So she showed up with another gal to train with her. This is last summer. And we did that practice, went well. Got a text from Evelyn after that practice. She says, I got 2 more that want to try it. So we had 4 girls from WWG that wanted to practice, wanted to try it, and I'm thinking, well, here we go. It's probably going to happen this year. We got a month ahead, 2 weeks ahead of the season here, a month ago, and we were down to just Evelyn again on the WWG side. One of the girls that was her training partner, Evelyn's, went back out for basketball. She'd been a basketball player, decided that's what she wanted to do, and I'm thinking, okay, now we're back to square one. We got to find someone for Evelyn to train with to make this work the way I see it working. And so, in a nutshell, the Thursday before practice was supposed to start. I had an interest level meeting with the girls in Tracy, and Bill was part of that. Bill Tower, our athletic director, was part of that, and we had 17 girls show up in Tracy. So fast forward into the first practice, we ended up having, I think we had 12 at the first practice, including Evelyn, and then we had 11 in Tracy. We've had a couple walk away, and we had another new one in the room tonight. So, we're at about 10 or 11 right now. When you reach out to some of the other programs around our area, there are a few programs that have really promoted and have a number of girls in the program. A lot of them only have 2 or 3. So what we have in the room right now is a pretty substantial number for year one.
And I think Tower had mentioned to me once that the girls might not wrestle at every meet, but if the school coming in has a couple girls, you'll put a couple of your girls out there. Is that about how it works?
Well, we've actually been working with our new assistant coach, which I'll talk about here in a second, with trying to figure that schedule out. And I think we've got a schedule locked down that'll include some girls-only events and some other duels, tries, quads, where we know that the other teams have a substantial number of girls where it's going to pay for those girls to travel with us. So, for example, when we go to St. James for a quad, we know that St. James has a couple dozen girls involved in their program. We'll bring the girls along for that. What we won't do is take them when we know there's just not a lot of opportunities for girls wrestling girls. We've been on the other side of it where we've had other teams approaching us to get exhibition matches, JV matches where their girls are wrestling our JV boys, and had some really upset coaches on the other side when we just haven't obliged with when you got a boy that's not comfortable with it and you say no, they get pretty upset.
Do they?
I don't want to be on the other side of that. I want to provide these girls opportunities, maximize their opportunities, and girls wrestling is growing.
I was going to ask you, this isn't just a trend. I mean, it's a trend, but it's not a come and go type thing.
It's not going.
A few years ago, we had Alyssa Riensma down in MCC. She made state, and everyone was like, their eyes were wide open, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is amazing. This girl did this. Now it seems like it's just not as much of a shock anymore. We saw a lot of a girl from Marshall placed pretty high at state last year, I believe. Is this a growing trend? I guess I could ask.
Well, it's I believe it's called emerging sports status with the State High School League. There's actually a plan layout as to when they're even going to shoot for having girls duels. The state just expanded from 4 super sections for the girls competing to 8 sections.
Regular section.
8 regular sections. There's only 1 class, which is different from the boys. The boys have 3 classes, but the girls have 1. But they now have went to 8 sections, and each section will qualify 2 girls, and it will be a full 16-person bracket at the state level with full double elimination for the girls this year, and the boys will have double elimination for the first time in 30 years as well this year, because the state tournament has expanded into a 4-day event instead of 3. So they feel that they can get the time frames to work for both the expanded girls tournament and full double elim.
So how does it work when sections? The girls have to qualify for sections, just like how does that?
We'll only be able to put 1 individual in per weight class, just like the boys, is my understanding, and then only 2, one entrant per team, and only 1 or 2 individuals per section qualifying for the state tournament. It's my understanding there's enough participation numbers that we're going to, right now it's scheduled, the girls section tournament is scheduled for a 2-day event, which tells me there are more than 10 entrants per weight class, or the potential for that.
Wrestling's been your life, literally most if not all of your life. Do you like this? Do you like seeing? I mean, adding girls means it's a growing sport in general. I shouldn't ask, do you like it? That's kind of an unfair question, but you have to appreciate the fact that this is still growing. It's getting bigger, I dare say.
What I can tell you is we knew as a coaching staff it was coming at some point. We just didn't know when. And the story I told you about Evelyn and just having an interest level meeting, the interest level meeting is probably what shocked me the most. And Tracy, I didn't realize there was that many girls that wanted to give this a go. And we've got some pretty good athletes in our room right now wanting to do this. They have been absolutely fantastic. Yeah. They have been working hard. And I often think about the fact that a number of years ago, I told myself there's no way I'll ever coach females. I'll never coach girls. I don't want to coach girls. That was probably, 20 years ago or so. And then I think God laughed at me and gave me 2 daughters. And then the next thing you know, I'm coaching summer fast pitch. And of course, I'm coaching girls springs fast pitch now as well. And this has went well the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's funny. Careful what you wish for or don't wish for, because And it's nothing against that gender. It's just that's who you are. You're a wrestler. Back in the day when you were wrestling, it was a sport for boys,
Yes.
plain and simple. But
Yeah.
times are changing, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's back when we didn't even have girls softball.
Yes. And I've got two nephews in Northfield that's got one of the best girls programs in the state. They had the first girl, Kaylee Graber, that placed in the boys state tournament. So you mentioned Alyssa Reinsma here a little while back. Alyssa was the first girl to make the state boys tournament in the history of Minnesota. She did that, I believe, in 2009, was injured in 2010, and then did it again in 2011. My nephews have grown up and been teammates with the first girl that made the state boys tournament and medaled.
Okay.
And this happened 2 years ago. And that was obviously a big deal. And then that same girl turned around and won it in the girls' division the next year. What I don't care for is the girls being able to choose. I think if we're going to have girls wrestling, I like it to be girls wrestling girls.
Yeah.
Because I compare that to maybe a guy in high school wanting to play girls volleyball or wanting to play volleyball, period.
Yeah.
They can't make that choice. Now, I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers by those comments, but that's how I feel about it. And again, what I want to do for these girls is give them every opportunity to wrestle other girls and develop. And when you think about it, a lot of dads maybe have a problem with it or concerns with it. There's no better sport to teach self-defense, discipline, toughness than what we're doing right now. And it's gonna be a lot of life skills that these young ladies are gonna get out of this.
You even stole one from Ashbaugh. Does he give you grief about that?
I didn't steal one. Let's be clear about that. He might feel that way.
No, she chose, but
Yeah, I can see why people might view it that way.
I was joking.
Yeah, and Derek reached out to me after this young lady quit the basketball team and said, "Have I had a conversation with her?" And I had not at that point. But the one you're talking about was actually one of the girls that got a whole bunch of the rest of these girls to come to that interest level meeting, and she is one of the ones that looks absolutely awesome,
Incredible
working
athlete.
out. She
I don't care if it's basketball or wrestling. She can do whatever she wants to do.
Yes, yeah.
Her body it's built for basketball, but I can see where it'd be built for wrestling too because that leverage, and she's tall and
Strong.
But
Yeah.
okay, let's wrap it up with our semi-new feature, best and worst. What's the best part of your job, Carl?
Chris, you mentioned Chris Camrod a little bit earlier, and I remember Cam coming into one of our social studies classes when I was in high school and talking. It was one of those career days, and I'm sure you remember the same thing where they'd come in and trying to get you thinking about what you're going to do with your life. And he made the comment about if you can find a job where you don't feel like you're going to work, then you found the right job.
Yeah.
And coaching is something that I always knew I wanted to do. And I enjoy the relationships with the kids. I enjoy the relationships with my coaches. I enjoy the relationships with all the other people I get to work with. I'm well supported by our administration, Bill and Dr. Chad, our superintendent, and the principals. I'm on my third principal now as a teacher, but all three of them have been very supportive of whatever we wanted to do, and I really feel fortunate that we built what we have here, and I don't feel like I'm going to work most days, and I still love competition. Being involved in sport is a hobby for a lot of people, sitting on the couch watching it, but I get to be right there on the bench and involved, whether it's the bench or the dugout. It's just very enjoyable being able to do that.
Now the hard part. What's the worst part of your job, Mr. Campbell?
Yeah, the grind, the long days, and it's people think it's just a in-season thing. It's not an in-season thing. Right now, I'm averaging 12-hour days. I get there early in the morning, make sure the kids got access to the weight room, whether Coach Greenway's opening up for a mandatory lift or not. I feel it's important I'm there, and most days it's well after 6 before I'm walking out. Last night it was 7, the night before it was 7. And we haven't even gotten into the meat of it yet. The word grind comes up. It's a grind. The winter season is a grind.
a long one.
Spring flies by. Fall seems to fly by, but it's a long one. But that's the off season stuff gets to be a grind as well sometimes. So some of those things aren't as much fun, but I have done a lot of other things to earn a dollar in my life, from the construction side of things or the agriculture side of things, that are a whole lot less pleasant than coaching a wrestling season.
Karl, you are off the hot seat. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
This week's podcast was brought to you by Greenwood Nursery. Christmas is just around the corner, and your perfect Christmas tree is waiting at Greenwood Nursery. Trees, poinsettias, wreaths, centerpieces, home decor, and spruce tip pots. They have everything to make Christmas come alive at your home, as well as many gift items. Shop today for best selection in Tracy and Marshall. Greenwood Nursery gift cards are always the perfect fit, too.